Hey, what is up YouTube? This is the Master coming at you guys from the Team Time Riders Yugioh channel with the final updated build I had before the ban list hit. Now, a lot of you guys have been asking me about what this profile looks like, and the different Venom videos that I've posted have generated a lot of really healthy discussion on the archetype and the different ways that people have been taking it. Now, as you guys know, Venom is one of the so-called worst archetypes in the game, and you know it's a title that it carries for good reason, in sort of the fact that it's extremely inconsistent in a variety of different ways, and it's a struggle sometimes to get some of its plays off. Chiefly, of course, is the big snake VENNOMINAGA, who is an extremely powerful card, but is locked behind an incredibly inconsistent summoning method. So basically what my goal was in constructing these Venom decks was to create a deck that could summon VENNOMINAGA on a regular basis. Not only that, but with enough attack power to actually be some kind of a threat, and not just, like, okay, I summoned VENNOMINAGA, congratulations, you're good, but to actually have VENNOMINAGA pull its weight and win you the duel. And luckily, after months and months of testing, this was the build that I came up with. A build that, as I will soon demonstrate in the combo videos, will be able to summon VENNOMINAGA every 9 out of 10 duels, pretty much. So guys, without further ado, let's get started into this deck profile, and I'll show you exactly the combos I ran, as well as talk you through like a couple of the card choices that I have in here. So of course, first and foremost, we have Big Snake. Only one copy, VENNOMINAGA, the deity of poisonous snakes. She's one of the coolest monsters in the game, and a huge part of the reason that I decided to build this deck was just the fact that I was able to pick up a copy of her, and the secret rare first ed version of her. So basically what she does is you can only summon her by this card called Rise of the Snake Deity, which is a trap card that triggers when Venomon, King of Poisonous Snakes, is destroyed by not battle, but by card effect only. Now, she gains 500 attack power for every reptile in your graveyard. She also is unaffected by, cannot be targeted and unaffected by the effects of spells, traps, and monster effects from both sides of the field. And if she would be destroyed by battle, like King, of course, she can banish one reptile from the graveyard and special summon herself back to the field. In addition, she has a powerful second, I would call it secondary special ability, which wherein each time that she inflicts battle damage, she gains one hyper venom counter, and when she has 3 hyper venom counters on her, you win the duel. So she's kind of your go-to play, and very much a meme card, one of those very tough to summon cards, but this deck can get her out so easily, it's not even funny. So that's her. Now moving into the rest of the reptiles. Now, of course, because we have her, we have 3 King. In reality, this is what the deck is around. This is what he's focused around, is utilizing King, getting King out onto the field, summoning King, and then destroying King so that you can summon Deity. That's the entire goal of the deck, and then you sort of ride Deity to the win. So having 3 Kings in here ensures that you can get it to the graveyard in an easy enough manner, and that even if one is banished, multiple will be useful. The problem with King, of course, as you guys know, is that he doesn't have his own inherent summoning requirements. So unfortunately for King, he can't be special summoned by an effect monster's effect, which means you can't just Mystic Tomato into this guy, unfortunately. But he does have the same effects as Deity, where he gains 500 attack for each reptile in your graveyard, and then you can banish one reptile to special summon him if he's destroyed by battle. So that's King in a nutshell. Kind of underwhelming, but really necessary in this deck to get out Deity. Now, coming on to your reptiles, the OG Venoms. Now, a lot of people say that you can run different types of them, but I like to run these because this is kind of like a Professor Viper Venom character deck, so I just wanted to keep it as pure as possible and to try to make use of the Venom monsters and say, okay, let's make a pure Venom deck and see how it works. Venom Serpent and Venom Snake. are your 2 3-ofs and then 1 copy of Venom Boa. Now, Venom Boa is in here very much for flavor. Most consistently, you'd rather run Venom Cobra because that's less of a brick than Boa. In addition, some people can take out Boa and actually run a 1-of copy of Tsuchinoko in this deck as well, which would work good. Basically, these guys are your numbers. One of the big things that I was trying to do a lot was to figure out the perfect number of snakes to have in the deck. Because you want Phenomena to be very powerful, but you run the card called Snake Rain, which must mill 4 reptiles to your graveyard. So I decided to play around with the numbers, and I found that 10 non-Venominaga reptiles was the perfect number, because let's say if you have 10 reptiles, exactly 10 reptiles in your deck, theoretically, if you draw into any 2 reptiles, you can resolve a Snake Rain 2 times, instead of just having 9 reptiles and only being able to resolve Snake Rain 1 time. The reason being that if Venominaga is milled from your deck to the graveyard, you can't summon it by your effects. So unfortunately, that makes it a little bit tougher to get summoned by the Rise of the Snake Deity, because that can only summon from deck or hand. So you have to wait until you can shuffle it back into the deck in order to do some plays like that. But 10 reptiles I found is the perfect number. Now, last 2 monsters I run in the deck are just 2 copies of Lilith, Lady of Lament. This is part of the Venom Trap Trick engine, which I'll go into great detail with. Some of the new additions in this deck. So that's moving off to that side. Now, moving on to the spells, we have 3 copies of Card of Demise. This was, and hopefully one day will be again, the center point of the deck. It was the entirety of what the design philosophy was behind. Like, this and Lilith were basically what my design philosophy was in the deck. And Card of Demise was such a good card. And yes, guys, before anyone says in the comments, I do know that Card of Demise is at 1. I want Card of Demise to come at 3, or to at least, if you guys have any substitutes of what might work well in place of Card of Demise, I'd love to hear them. But the reason why this card is so good is because you want to get your snakes to the grave no matter what. So it doesn't matter what kind of card hand you draw. If it's a hand of all snakes, that's fine, because you mill them to the graveyard. They're better in the graveyard than they are in the hand. But Card of Demise helps you dig for a lot of your spells and traps and other kinds of things like that, and is really the major consistency booster, and one of the big reasons why this deck is not, terrible, and why it's not inconsistent, because this will get you to all the pieces that you need. Phenominaga's summon is a 6-card combo, which means the more cards you have in your hand, the better it is. And as you start milling snakes to your graveyard with Snake Rain, your Card of Demise draws get even more lethal and even more capable. So that's Card of Demise in a nutshell. Now, moving on, we've got 3 Snake Rains. Pretty self-explanatory, but so powerful. Discard 1 reptile from your hand to the graveyard to send 4 reptiles from your deck to your graveyard, and it must be 4 reptiles. So this is the way that you resolve and get a whole bunch of reptiles to your graveyard. Use Card of Demise to draw into a bunch of stuff, and then mill your reptiles to your graveyard, and then have them all in there. And the best part about it is that as you keep milling reptiles to your graveyard, your Card of Demise will get more and more consistent as all your monsters leave your deck, meaning that you'll get, 2 or 3 more spell or trap cards off at the top of your deck, which just makes Snake Rain that much more potent. The idea is that once you get to Venominaga, then you're only drawing stuff that's going to help you, and you're not drawing any more bricks. So the deck will technically unbrick itself over the course of a duel. And if you guys try it out for yourself online, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. 3 copies of Pot of Duality. Pot of Duality, of course, because you don't really do any special summoning, except for on your opponent's turn, really. Pot of Duality works wonders. Same with Card of Demise as well. You want to be triggering your trap cards and stuff on your opponent's turn. So Pot of Duality just helps you dig for probably Card of Demise or Lilith or one of the trap cards that you need, or anything that you are looking for. You get to instantly get it off of the top of your deck, which just makes it that good. You want to usually resolve Pot of Duality before setting up your trap lineup, and I'll go into a little bit more detail with that. Now, we've got Monster Reborn as the final card in the deck. One thing of note, guys, is I actually took out the Venom Swamp because I wanted to take the deck and make it entirely around summoning out Venominaga. I felt that the Venom counter mechanic, while it was a part of what Viper was doing, ultimately is just so inconsistent with and so reliant on the Venom Swamp that it really, was less consistent when I had the swamp than it was when I didn't. So I went from 3 swamps to 2 swamps to 1 swamp to finally just eliminating swamp entirely, unfortunately. But I think it was definitely for the better, and you guys will see how consistent the deck has become. Now, that's it for the monsters. Moving on, and spells, moving on to the traps. And this is where the ultimate combo plays are going. So I'm going to lay out my trap lineup right now. The first things first, we're starting out is one of the brand new additions. And it's 3 copies of Trap Trick. Now, if you guys remember, I swore off this card in previous profiles because I said that this card was useless, that it just banished a whole bunch of things, it had a lack of consistency, and it didn't really work. In the past deck profiles, I teched it in here at 1, then I teched it in here at 2. And, I was like, okay, well, Trap Trick in my other builds didn't really work that well because it wasn't as consistent, so I'd rather just use Lilith Lady of Lament to search the piece that I needed. But that all changed when I had an epiphany after talking with Daniel Demore, Squid Kid's brother. He basically told me that, try out Trap Trick again, but try out, just test it out again and see what you think. And eventually that came to me coming across the current trap lineup I have, and this was what truly unlocked the potential and consistency of the Venom deck. And I'll show you guys what I mean. So I bumped my Trap Trick number up to 3 just to test it, but I bumped almost every other trap number down to 2. So I'll show you. I have right now just 2 copies of Rise of the Snake Deity, 2 copies of Back to the Front. So first, I guess Rise of the Snake Deity is the card that special summons VENNOMINAGA from the extra deck, or from your deck or your hand, and it can only be activated as a when you can effect when Venommenon is destroyed, and then you can special summon VENNOMINAGA by triggering this card. Then we've got 2 copies of Back to the Front, special summons a monster from your graveyard to the field. I took out the Call of the Haunted with this because it helps to free up the back row, and since you're special summoning on your opponent's turn, you're really not getting the attack anyway, so it doesn't really matter. 2 copies of Rise of the Snake Deity, which destroys cards that your opponent controls, or destroys. It's kind of like an Icarus attack. Destroys your snake and then destroys 2 cards your opponent controls. So it actually helps out quite a lot. 2 copies of Torrential Tribute. Same kind of deal. Use Torrential Tribute to destroy cards your opponent controls. And finally, 2 copies of Peaceful Burial to round things out. Basically a foolish burial, but in trap turn with a hard once per turn. So you might be asking, why all of these traps? And there is a specific reason, or like why these traps and these ratios? Well, the reason for that is because with your Lilith engine, the only trap that you can search in this deck consistently, is actually Trap Trick. And there's a reason for that. Trap Trick, as you guys know, is a card that basically allows you to set a trap card to your field by banishing another copy of that trap card itself. So what you do is, like, let's say you have Torrential Tribute. You can set a copy of Torrential Tribute, and then you do that by banishing a copy of Torrential Tribute. However, if you set Torrential Tribute to the field, you banish that card, so you have no more Torrentials left. But with Trap Trick, you can only activate 1 trap card at the end phase of the turn, or until the end phase of your turn that you activate this effect. But the reason why this is good is because of the ratios of the other traps in this deck. Now, as I've demonstrated, I'm going to bring out each of the different types of trap cards that we have in here. Your main goal in this deck is to get out VENNOMINAGA, Deity of Poisonous Snakes, okay? And in order to do that, you need this following combo. You need a way to send your Venominon to the graveyard. You need a way to special summon your Venominon. You need a way to destroy your Venominon. And then you need a way to summon your Venominon. Pretty much, your trap cards are where your combo is hidden. Your monsters don't really do much. Your spells only increase your consistency, but the traps is where the deck lives. Lives and dies on the trap lineup, and a lot of people haven't really tested out a trap lineup of this nature. So what you basically do is you use Peaceful Burial to send Venominon back to the front to revive it. Then you use either this, Offering to the Snake Deity, or Torrential to destroy, and Rise of the Snake Deity will special Venominon. This is important because you use Lilith to search the trap trick, and let's say you have a hand of, any one of these two cards. Basically, trap trick will get you whatever piece you're missing. And the best part about it is, since the trap can be activated during the turn you activate it, let's say you have Venominon in your graveyard already, but you already have like Back to the Front and Snake Deity in your hand. And this is where, of course, Card of Demise comes in, because it can help you dig for like multiple versions of these types of traps. The best part about it is that if you don't, if you only have one trap in your deck of a specific type, it means the other part of that trap combo is in your hand. So what you do is you set these, and then you have the trap trick to get whatever piece you're missing. So what you would do in this situation, use Back to the Front to revive Venominon, King of Poisonous Snakes, to the graveyard. Like so. Then you wait for your opponent and make sure that you have an effect that misses time, or that has timing. Then you trigger Offering to the Snake Deity. Then, as you trigger Offering to the Snake Deity, you chain Trap Trick. All right, and the chain is now going to resolve backward. All right, so Trap Trick is going to activate. You banish one Rise of the Snake Deity to set your second Rise of the Snake Deity to the field. The chain, of course, as you guys know, will resolve backward. Offering to the Snake Deity now triggers, destroying this to destroy two other cards. And now, once Offering to the Snake Deity has done that, since your Rise of the Snake Deity is now set on the field, you can now trigger it to special summon out Venominon, Deity of Poisonous Snakes, or Venominaga, Deity of Poisonous Snakes. So as you guys can see, the combo plays are extremely consistent. And the best part about this whole thing, and the real reason that I love it, is the fact that with Rise of the Snake Deity being only a 2 in this deck, so it's either you're drawing it or you're searching it with Trap Trick. Basically, once you activate and resolve Trap Trick and resolve the Rise of the Snake Deity, you will never, ever dead draw into another copy of this card again. That, I think, is the hugest part about this deck, and it keeps the consistency up and allows you to ramp up by guaranteeing that once Venominaga is summoned, no more Rise. So that's the key play. Now moving on to the last couple of cards in the deck. I'm running one more set of 3 of traps in this deck, and that's 3 copies of Limit Reverse. Now, Limit Reverse is in here at 3 because it's one of my favorite cards to summon back one of the Venominon. And Limit Reverse is at 3 because, first of all, it cannot be searched, but second of all, it acts as 2 parts of that combo. It acts as the revival part, and it also acts as the destruction part. So, for instance, if you have a Limit Reverse, you have the revival and destruction, you only need a Peaceful Burial and a way to get Rise. So this 3-card combo right here equals Venominaga. So your opening hand could be these 3 cards, then plus a Snake Rain and one other snake. That's a Venominaga with, 2,500 to 3,000 attack power, potentially. So that's one of your big plays right there. So that's why Limit Reverse is in here at 3. And the final trap card that we have in the deck is one that I do like quite a lot, and that is Transmigration Prophecy. And Transmigration Prophecy is really good because what you can use it for is shuffling back any 2 cards in either player's graveyard. So it can be used as a disruption play to stop your opponent from doing a specific play. But the reason why it's in here is to get VENNOMINAGA from your graveyard back into your deck. The worst possible play that you can have is drawing into VENNOMINAGA off of card of demise and having to mill it without being able to summon it. Transmigration Prophecy gets rid of that problem by allowing you to shuffle VENNOMINAGA back into your deck and not having to deal with any issues in association with that. So guys, this has been the deck profile. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe to the Team Time Riders YouTube channel. I love this Venom deck more than most, more than a lot of decks out there right now. And it's this is probably one of my third style of kind of homebrewed decks that I really take a lot of pride in. If you guys have options or things that can keep it pure while helping to mitigate the weaknesses of card of demise, I'd really appreciate seeing it. So guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Combo tutorial will be coming up soon, as well as a video where I just do draws of this deck. So guys, thanks so much and catch you guys later. Peace.